Hey everybody, Jack Willard here. Happy 2025. We had a wonderful time on our live pop on to pop off on New Year's Eve. It's up in two parts. It's up in two parts here in the live section of this channel, the Virtual Church of the Disillusioned. So please watch that. I want to thank my viewers, especially my core audience, for getting us through 2025, closing out the year with just enough for our monthly budget. You come through, often it's in the 11th hour, but I'm very much appreciative of that. We have a very small budget here. We are a little fish in a big pond, but it seems that we have some wonderful people, not only in America, but in various parts of the world. And that is a blessing to me. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Obviously, tragedy in New Orleans last night. And I just watched the press conference. Everybody from Senator John Kennedy to the Governor Landry and the mayor of Louisiana and the police chief were there. In terms of getting to the bottom of what really happened, I trust Senator Kennedy the most. I don't know much about Governor Landry. New Orleans, frankly, has a pretty bad history. 2 years ago, they were the crime capital city. We heard reports of the police officers being well underpaid. We heard that led to corruption in the police force. And then there's all the other elected officials. Sometimes we don't pick, in these modern times, the best person for the job. We pick someone with equity in mind, whether it's the university professor, the police chief, the mayor, the governor. We have picked some real doozies to represent us all around America. And of course, we see this happening in other countries as well. That needs to stop. That needs to stop. You pick the most qualified individual for the job. As I was looking for some information on Mayor LaToya Cantrell, who got up there and spoke tough about how we're going to get to the bottom of this. Well, the question, of course, first of all, is were you adequately prepared for what happened last night? Do you think last night in New York City someone could have drove to the Central Park area and said, I'm going to take this super duper truck that I have and just drive down from Central Park to Times Square, mowing down people with a vehicle, no matter how big of a tough truck that was, that they could have done that? It would have never happened. So did we have enough concrete barriers to prevent that? Were there gaps? Did the officers have AK-47s ready to address a terrorist? This terrorist living in the United States. Are we careful who we give citizenship to? Would this have happened in Poland? No, this guy, we're going to find out, was a pretty bad dude, and he probably has a paper trail, and once again, all that was missed. We can't discover the 14-year-old who is on Facebook or some other media making threats against his classmates and hinting at violence. We can't find him in time to stop him from a school shooting. So we can't seem to curtail incidents that could have been prevented. And as I say, I mean, I look at the police chief of New Orleans, and she may be a wonderful person. She looks like, she looks like a grandma. She looks like a grandma. I can't tell you whether she was the best qualified person, but I can tell you there was a breach in her plan, and there was a breach in the mayor's plan, because this guy was able to do that. And although a number of officers who were shot engaged the suspect, he was able to commit carnage before he was finally killed. And many times, because there already seems to be an ISIS link, that is what they're looking into. No verification on that, an ISIS link. They are willing to die for the cause. And when someone's willing to die for the cause, put you at a disadvantage. But it's been my feeling for years, really ever since 9/11, I'm surprised that there hasn't been more of this. So I think our nation will be taking a much-needed turn to get back to sanity. Now, it is true that you could not have driven down Broadway last night in New York City. They were properly prepared for that. But when it comes to New York City, terrorists know that you just kind of wait to a time when everybody's doing their thing and, memories are short. And, you just do a much smaller scale of terrorism, perhaps. And if you push someone in front of a subway train, or you shoot someone in Times Square, you're probably going to be able to do it. You're probably going to be able to get away with it. And then so often, people that commit violent crimes in New York City are going to be either not charged by D.A. Bragg, or the charges will be reduced significantly. It's just another sign that we have to change these kind of things in America. I'm all for compassionate courts when it comes to non-violent crime, when there are mitigating circumstances. But let's face it, we were too busy weaponizing the Justice Department to worry about the guy who was attacking people on the subway train. And when someone steps in, he is the bad guy. We want to put him in jail for years and years and years. This is what people say, see and say. So we have known crime was high in New Orleans for a long time. I think if Senator Kennedy follows through, as he will, on finding out exactly what happened in regards to all areas, he will tell us that there was a need for better planning for this big event. They're going to postpone the Sugar Bowl for one night. Why? To put up the things they should have put up already? To enhance the security that should have already been prepared for a year ago? I don't understand. So I looked up this Mayor Cantrell, and New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell speaks out after feds charge inspector for bribing her. Days after federal inspectors charged a New Orleans electrical inspector with gifting her football tickets as part of a sweeping fraud scheme, Mayor LaToya fired back Tuesday in her first direct acknowledgement in months of a widening federal probe in her office. How I came in, it seems to be how I'm going out, Cantrell told officials at the start of a briefing on the mayor's 2025 budget proposal. Accusation after accusation after accusation, but also a track record of delivering results. Really? Cantrell was responding to a 25-count federal grand jury indictment returning Friday. It was returned on Friday against Randy Farrell, who, through his company IECI, is accused over several years of submitting hundreds of fraudulent permit applications on behalf of unlicensed electricians who paid Farrell bribes. Farrell then gave Cantrell a slew of gifts, including the tickets, a steak dinner, an iPhone, etc., in efforts to persuade her to look the other way, the feds allege. Well, of course, what's the proper action right off the bat? I don't want your football tickets. I don't want your iPhone. I don't want your steak dinners. I'm the mayor of Louisiana, New Orleans, Louisiana, and I will not be bribed, and now you are on the hot seat, buddy. But that didn't happen? Well, it's an ongoing investigation. We only speak of possibilities. There's so much of this going on, you know? I mean, I watched that press conference, and John Kennedy was great, as he always is. I heard the mayor speak, you know, we're going to find this person and get tough. What kind of planning did you do to make sure someone couldn't drive down Bourbon Street? That's what I want to know. What kind of weapons did your officers have? How many were there? Did you think about the buildings, people throwing something out of a building like an explosive or something like that? How good of a job did you really do? Are we hiring the best people? And then towards the end of the conference, I don't know what he was, maybe a police captain or something like that, started scolding the press because they asked questions. We have to have enough of that. We have to have enough of that nonsense. The press is there to ask questions. You don't have to answer them all, but don't make it sound like, well, we're just going to end this because you are not following our rules to ask the questions we are comfortable with. Who does this person think he's working for? Who does he think he is? So it all leaves a bad taste in my mouth, and that is why I am so glad that on January 20th, we are going to start to turn this country in another direction. We're going to have to deal with a bunch of federal judges that were appointed at the last hour by Joseph R. Biden, and things will get tied up in the Supreme Court. There's no doubt about that. But I think that through executive orders and what have you, and a Republican Senate and Congress, I hope that the Congress this week doesn't begin this path to a better way by creating chaos in the vote for Mike Johnson. We need to show unity. Richard Lyon, the Grand Patriarch, is very upset about this. He said he had a feeling that this kind of stuff was going to happen, and as I told Richard, I've had a feeling and been surprised that we haven't had more of this. Thank God we haven't had more of this. We have so many wonderful law enforcement agents. We have so many wonderful FBI agents who deserve a better leader, and they're going to get one. We have so many wonderful people even in the Congress and the Senate, but we also have mixed in a brood of vipers that don't love this country, don't want to represent constituents. They just want to have power for themselves, and that is what we have seen in the last 4 years. Terrible, terrible. But we're on the upswing. We're on the upswing, and we have to do what we can to shine a light in this world. We have to be responsible for our own selves, right? What are we doing? What are we doing? We can't just be an armchair quarterback. We've got to get out there and spread light as well. See what God would have us do. Because long ago, the Bible predicted we have these kind of times, and we have got to be prepared. But I am far more optimistic here on January 1st, 2025 than I have been for the last 4 years. It was like the plane was nosediving, and we were just either unable to see it or we saw it and we couldn't get into the cockpit to get the plane to begin to rise again. So we will do Worldwide Ramblings tomorrow night at 10 p.m. East Coast time. Kind of got my days confused yesterday. I was talking about doing it today, but no, Thursday night, 10 p.m., and Saturday night, 10 p.m. East Coast time. We will do Worldwide Ramblings where the family gets together from around the world. Please subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell because I could pop on at any time. And if you're near your device and that goes off, you'll be able to hear it. But there's always the replay. There's always the replay. My personal email is jackthefairguy, F-A-I-R, jackthefairguy @gmail.com. So see you Thursday night at 10 Eastern, if not before. Have a wonderful day with those you love today. Talk to you soon.